Here we go. Let's move on to question 2. And question 2 involves doing some ratios. Analyze the firm's liquidity, leverage, turnover, and profitability. All right, so let's do that. So I created another worksheet called ratios. And here we have it. We have the current ratio, quick ratio, then we have the debt ratios, debt to total assets, debt to EBIT, debt to equity, assets to equity. Then we have the turnover ratios or the efficiency ratios. Then profitability, and lastly, return ratios. So since we have the financial statements in place, we can go ahead and start filling this in. So this is equal to current assets divided by current liabilities. And we can drag this out. Let's make sure, yeah, the years are lining up. Then we'll do the quick ratio, which is equal to current assets minus inventory, current assets minus inventory, divided by current liabilities. And we'll drag that out. Okay. And let's do debt to total assets. So we're going to use total liabilities divided by total assets. And let's go ahead, we don't need all this detail in here. We don't need as many decimal spots, so let's go ahead and reduce those. Yeah, that should do. And let's go ahead and do this for the industry. No? Oh, it's because we're missing that. I know why. Let's go ahead and put a, there we go. Right. See, we have a column in between the industry and the company in the financial statements right there. So easiest thing to do is put a column in there as well. All right, let's go ahead and drag. Well, debt to equity. And that's going to be long-term debt divided by common equity. I'm sorry, that was debt to EBIT. Let's go ahead and pull that down. Debt to EBIT. Let's go ahead and do that. Divided by EBIT. Do that there. And then assets to equity. And the problem with doing the industry is we only have 1 year. So let's do it like this. Let's do total assets divided by total equity. So we can be consistent with the industry. Okay. All right, now let's do total asset turnover, and that's sales divided by, and again, let's not average, let's just do total assets. The reason we're going to do that is so we can compare it with the industry. We only have 1 year for the industry. And fixed asset turnover is sales divided by net fixed assets accounts receivable turnover is sales divided by accounts receivable. Normally we would average all of these things. And then inventory turnover is cost of goods sold divided by inventory. All right, let's take a look at the industry real quick. All right, we got the industry down. Now let's do some margins, and that's gross profit divided by sales. And operating margin, which is EBIT, divided by sales. Let's go ahead and take that out one more. Add one more decimal. Look, went the wrong way. There we go. And then net margin, net income. Let's see. Typically, you're going to do net income divided by sales. Take that out again. All right. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do net margin after net profit margin after preferred dividends. And that is equal to net income available to common shareholders divided by sales. Let's go ahead and okay, now let's look at the return ratios. So that's net income divided by assets. That can't be right. Net income divided by total assets. There we go. And is equal to net income divided by common equity. It's actually not common equity, it's total equity. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. All right, so let's look at our returns, and we see that, and let's go ahead and let's do ROA after preferred dividends and ROE after preferred dividends. So that's equal to net income available to common shareholders divided by there, scroll that along there, and that's equal to net income divided by available common shareholders divided by assets. And let's scroll through here, drag that over there, get rid of that one. Let's move a few decimal spots off of here. All right. Okay, so let's look. First, let's look at the trend. So we've got 2003, 2004, 2005. So, return on assets went down and came back up, went down, return on equity went down and came back up. After preferred dividends went down and came back up a little bit, went down and came back up. So we can see that we know what happened. We know the company spent a bunch of money on net fixed assets, inventory, and accounts receivable. And that has hit their returns. Now let's see. Now the second thing we want to do is compare that to the industry. Compare 2005 for the company with 2005 for the industry, and we see that the industry makes much higher returns than the company. Now let's see what's going on with the company. Let's compare margins. So the gross margin went down, and the operating margin went down and up. The net profit margin went down and came back up a little bit, but it's still half of what it used to be. After the preferred dividends, the net margin still down, and so the margins compared to the industry do not look good, particularly the operating margin and the net margin after paying preferred dividends. So the margins aren't good for the company. They went down, looks like they're coming back up a little bit, but they got a long way to go. Let's see about their turnover ratios. So their turnover ratio actually picked up, which means their sales relative to their assets picked up. Fixed asset, all of these, well, accounts receivable turnover did not pick up, and inventory turnover did not pick up, but fixed asset turnover did pick up, and that's a good thing. Okay? Let's compare these ratios to the industry, and once again, in every case, the company is lagging the industry. So right now, you'd have to say that the company's management team is not doing a great job. And it looks like the problem, well, it's turnover, meaning they're not generating quite enough sales, and it's margin. All right, let's look at the leverage, and leverage picked up. In every category, leverage picked up, okay? And the company is more highly leveraged, particularly debt to EBIT, than the industry. Man, what is management doing? So let's look at liquidity. Their current ratio improved. Their quick ratio improved. So their liquidity is okay, but it's still less than the industry. Wow. So in all of these ratios, the company is lagging. And if we could point to one set of ratios that are really worrisome to me, it would be the margins, particularly the operating margin, which has to do with, it's got depreciation stuck in there, and the net profit margin's got taxes and interest in there. So it looks like the operating margin is a real problem. Let's go back in here and look. Gross profit, depreciation, and you have other operating costs. So it looks to me like depreciation and operating costs are way too high for this company. All right, and then next, so margins, big problem, and turnover is a problem as well. Particularly, let's see, you know, the biggest difference is in accounts receivable turnover, but accounts receivable I don't think are that big of a deal for the company. Well, it's 3.8 million. So we're going to have to do some common size work, which is question number 3. So the bottom line is the company's ratios do not look good. So we're going to take a break here, and we'll come back and work on Question 3, doing common size statements. Peace out. Shalom.